All right, everybody, here we are in the second part of the QC. So I'm in a 3D file this time. I'm going to kind of show you a few things that might be happening to your 3D files. So I basically took this one and pared it down a little bit and cleaned it up so that when I hit QC, I'm at 100% already. So I want to show you kind of some of the ways that you might break it. So let's go to this corridor. That's my curb out left. Um, got a few different templates on here, but I think we'll just work with this curb F sidewalk left. So I'm going to go into my template library and bring that over here. And we're going to go with the curb F sidewalk left. So if I get into these points, bring this over too, you can see that they all have feature definitions. So they all have valid feature definitions. We could flip through them all, but they're all in there. One of the issues that you might get from QC compliance is that you might get something funky coming in. So what I want to do here is basically change one of these feature definitions or like get rid of them. So like do this. Actually, I'm going to close this. I want to put it on something easy to remember. So we're just going to use this like sidewalk front top out. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this sidewalk front top out. We got that open. I'm going to do that here where I'm going to change this to basically remove the feature definition and apply. So the same thing applies to all these components too. So all these components have feature definitions. So we'll just use this sidewalk, for example. I mean, you can flip through. They have feature definitions that tell the model what it's supposed to look like and all of that. So we're just going to go back to the sidewalk and we'll go here. We'll turn this one off. So let's see what happens now when I hit save. And I'm going to close this so that I can open this back up. And we should see some red here. So now we know we have to synchronize. So that one and that one. So you can see I'm still using SS10 here. Process is pretty similar for ORD. The cool thing with ORD is you can synchronize an entire corridor, which is really neat. So that's something to look forward to. So let's see if that broke something. That didn't break anything. So that didn't break anything. So that's kind of confusing because these are supposed to have specific components on them, or features. Well, let's try adding a feature now that isn't a feature. Usually your features are going to, be something like these PM levels. Maybe if we turn it to something that's definitely not the right feature, it will do it. So let's just say like lane line. Let's apply that. And then it's pretty much all of these features are going to work, I believe. So one that I know doesn't work is this. So that's another issue there. So I'm pretty sure this is going to trip it now. So basically I'm trying to, I have a good model already. I'm just trying to figure out how it would possibly break. I thought for sure that changing those would do it, but it must be that it has to have an incorrect feature definition on it. So let's get these two again. All right. All right, now we did it. So you can see I changed that to that DTM bottom mesh. It's a level, an invalid level. I guess it doesn't like that. So we found basically a component feature that is non-compliant. And DTM bottom mesh and DTM top mesh are kind of two things that I would actually prefer to be compliant, and I kind of want to discuss that further. Um, if you put DTM top mesh and bottom mesh on your components, for example, if I came in here and put a DTM top mesh element that just followed this top mesh, I could basically add that to like a motif file where all my models come in, and I could turn all the levels off except for DTM top mesh, and now I have one big top mesh for my whole entire thing. I can select that and create a terrain out of it. So that's really handy. Same applies for bottom meshes. You could make all sorts of bottom meshes for the bottom of your pavement or the bottom of your base or whatever it is. So I find those pretty handy to include in your templates. It makes it so that you don't have to process the corridor every time to basically make it top or bottom mesh. It's already just built into all your templates. But that's kind of neither here nor there. We can see that DTM bottom mesh is not working. Unfortunately, I guess I didn't find a point that wasn't working, but those are the two main culprits to remember when you're doing this is whenever you're creating your templates, you want to make sure that these are always on. All of your components have feature definitions, and all of your points have valid feature definitions. This is like, we call this sidewalk. Let's see, sidewalk PM. Apply. So typically all your points have those PM things on them, underscore PM levels. And all of these, I mean, pretty much anything in here is going to be a valid component. Unless it's showing, I guess that DTM top mesh is not supposed to show up in this particular model file. So again, that's something we can maybe work out and you can figure out later. But now that we've saved that and closed, whoops, we're still in our 3D. So it switched me over to the default 3D model when I ran the QC quick. So an easy way to just get back to your multi-model views is to come down here and do that. And click the corridor. And I don't really need to click the corridor, but you can kind of come back and see that we have these two red references again since something's changed. Change these back. Now we have nothing. So it's important to note also that when you have those QC errors that are in models, none of the other tools work. So you can't fix level, you can't fix symbology, you can't create an exception for it. It's got to be fixed by going in and fixing your template. So it's really important when you are creating new templates and building your corridors that you remember to put valid feature definitions on your components and all of your points. So it's just a good practice to go through when you're doing it. So that kind of concludes that. I would say that doing that is going to fix a majority of your errors. You can already see that when I opened this file and started working on it, I had several errors in there, and just by getting rid of my DTM top and bottom meshes that I had already included, everything is basically now functioning. So that pretty much does it. If anybody has any questions, you can put them in the comments, or if you have any more suggestions for things that you want to see, just let me know. Thanks.